So now let us have a look at the surface salinity field in the oceans. It's shown here on the left, and the salinity ranges between 30 and 40 salinity units, which is equivalent to grams per liter or grams per kilogram. Okay, so if you could hardly taste the difference. So it's all very yucky, salty water, and so, but tasting the difference would be quite tricky. It's a relatively narrow salinity range in the ocean, but there are some important differences. Okay, so first of all, what creates this surface salinity is the air-sea freshwater flux. Okay, precipitation minus evaporation, okay, and continental runoff, like the river runoff, mainly, all the fresh water that is supplied by river. And that, for example, explains why you have the low salinity water. Low salinity water here are the blue regions. Okay, so the blue regions have something like 30 or less salinity units. Okay, so in the Arctic Ocean. You can also see that the Southern Ocean has relatively low salinity surface water. Okay, and indeed that's the excess of precipitation along the polar front that creates this. What modifies the distribution is, again, can be horizontal flows and can be vertical flows, that we call upwelling. That also influences these fields. And so now, what are the general structures? What we can see here is generally the low surface salinity in polar regions. In addition to that, you can identify something that we call subtropical gyres. So let's have a look at the subtropical gyres. Are these large elliptical patterns that you find both north and south of the equator. You can see them in the Pacific Ocean. You can see two of these, we call them gyres, and in the Atlantic Ocean, north and south of the equator. You can see that the salinity is slightly elevated, slightly higher in the center, and that's due to excess evaporation actually in these areas. So now another key difference between different regions is that the North Pacific Ocean is much fresher compared to the North Atlantic Ocean. Okay, have a look at that. There's much more blue colors in the North Pacific compared to the North Atlantic. And this differences, which comes from the excess of rainfall over the North Pacific, actually explains why the deep circulation in the ocean, we talk about that in the next lecture, is actually initiated in the North Atlantic. Okay, so there is no formation of deep water in the North Pacific. That's an important difference. We also talk about the surface distributions of salinity and temperature, because what happens at the surface is actually found in the ocean interior. So this is the deep circulation in the ocean. So this what sets up at the surface, what happens at the surface actually sets up whether there can be a transfer of waters from the surface to deeper layers of the ocean.